Hello, how y'all doing? This is an emergency. I don't usually do this, but this is an emergency. Natchez, Mississippi. Natchez, Mississippi is paying people up to $6,100, maybe more, to move to Natchez, Mississippi. They would give you $2,500 for moving expenses and $300 a month for a year, which is $3,600 to move there. Now, even though Natchez, Mississippi has a lot of historical buildings, they do have, I'm sure, some cheap properties that you can buy that the state doesn't want. So I hope the people in Skid Row are watching this. You know, I always say people in Skid Row need at least a tablet. If not a tablet, I hope they can get to a library. The libraries are open to do some Google research. You know, just yesterday, I was watching this video about two illegals. They're married. They're both illegal, and they live in Connecticut. The woman became homeless. Okay, so they're both illegal. They had all four of their children in America, so therefore all four children are citizens. And they have this dependency on the government. The government pays for the rent. The government pays for the food stamps. The government pays for the birth of all of their children. They have this dependency on the government. The government pays for the food stamps. The government's going to pay the rent. They're not worried about it. The government's going to pay for all medical issues. Their teenage daughter went to the hospital for 10 days. And the mother did not pay one iota cent for that. Did not pay one Lincoln penny for her daughter's stay in the hospital for 10 days. That bill had to have come to at least, in the psychiatric ward too, had to come to at least $30,000. I think it was more like $80,000. But they have this dependency on the government. The government is even paying for her to stay in the hotel. Her husband somewhere else. But look, the government is even paying for her to stay in the hotel. They have this dependency on the government. Now, the reason why they are poor is because Connecticut is a rich state. Probably if you make less than $180,000 in Connecticut, you're considered poor. You're considered poor. If you make less than $180,000, you're considered poor. Okay, so if they're just making $5 to $10 hours, whatever they're making, they're poor. Okay. But they have so much dependency on the government that they don't have sense enough to get a tablet, go on Google or go to the library somewhere and look for cheap properties across the United States. You know, properties under 19K, properties under 10K. They are out there. Because there's a world beyond Connecticut. Connecticut is only one very small state. America is a big country. But see, they are so dependent on the government for everything, they don't have sense enough to say, okay, well, let me see what this state has. Let me see if this state has properties less than 10K. They don't have sense enough to do that because they're so dependent on the government. And they're so used to government paying all the bills, all the housing bills, all of the food bills, all the medical. She didn't pay not one iota cent for her daughter to stay 10 days in the hospital, which I submit to you, that hospital bill was between $30,000 and $80,000. And they would not, neither one of them would stand on their own 2 feet. They're going to depend on the government to give them a job too. Okay? But see, that's what happens when you have this psyche. You're dependent on the government for everything. And their children will also be dependent on the government. When the children turn 18, they in turn will be dependent on the government for rent, for food, for jobs, etc. To take care of them from head to foot. They're going to have babies. The government's going to pay for the babies. It's going to go on and on and on, infinitum, to 40 generations, y'all. The United States government is going to be bankrupt, okay? But the United States government, they're so used to that dependency. The United States government is going to pay for everything. And it does. Back to Natchez, Mississippi. I hope some people from either poor people or people from Skid Row are listening to this video. Natchez, Mississippi will pay you up to $6,000, maybe more, to move to that city. And like I said, you know, you can always buy a lot and build a third world house on it. Nobody cares. And as I said before, the governments do not want these houses and so on. And plus, it's a cheaper state. I hope somebody on Skid Row is listening. Or if you're poor, if you're about to be laid off from your $10.98 job, a month job, I hope you're listening also. But have a nice day.